Good morning, everybody. Well, as I have nothing better to do than sit around in my room and be sick while I get over whatever it is the fuck I've caught, I thought now would be a good time for some wild speculation about the future of Automobilista 2. Don't worry, this won't be 10 minutes of a spinning GTR. I'll probably put in some gameplay somewhere around here. But, right, yeah, anyway, so wild speculation. So this isn't going to be what I think would happen. This is going to be what I would like to happen. What I'd really like to see in the game in the future. And try and keep it sort of within a theme. So we've had the racing in the USA pack. That's been brilliant. Really successful, really cool, some niche little stuff like that Corvette. The tracks are really cool. The oval racing, the Indy cars, we love it, brilliant. And then next it looks like we're getting the Brazilian Legends pack. Quite what else is going to be in there, I don't know. But obviously if you're one of my like 75 subscribers, or however the hell many I have, then you might know I have a preference for Japanese sports cars, in particular Super GT, things like that. GT500, Japanese touring cars, whatever you want to call it. So what I'd really like to see is a specifically like a Japanese racing pack. You could call it the Rising Sun DLC or something like that. I don't know, whatever you want. And I think there's a good case for it. So I'll start with tracks first. So we could add classic Suzuka. Lots and lots of, controversial things went down at Suzuka in the past. If you think of the classic Formula 1 cars we've got, I think they gel really well with the classic version of Suzuka, and you could, relive your Ayrton Senna fantasies and punt Alan Prost off to win a title. Or Kimi Räikkönen coming through the field, There's lots of cool things you could do with that, so I think the current content would gel really well with a classic version of Suzuka. The next track in my fantasy DLC pack would probably be Mount Fuji. Again, not a particularly controversial choice, but I think it would work well with the theme of the game. It's got a really good modern layout. World Endurance Championship still go there. Formula 1 went there a few years ago, maybe with the whatever era the Formula Riser ones were, the kind of the Vettel era, those sort of cars. And again, that would open the door for a really good classic version of that track. Again, that was the track where James Hunt won his first title, with the comeback from Niki Lauda, the rain, and he retired in the race for James Hunt to win the title, iconic moment. So Fuji's got a lot of history. I think that would work really well. Next track. I already apologise if you're hearing any gross sounds, I'm doing my best here. In fact, let's have a drink of tea. In fact, go and get a cup of tea. I think you've probably had a hard day, so I encourage you all to go and get a cup of tea or something. Delicious. Anyway, right. Where's I rambling to? More tracks. So track number 3, or track number 2.5, I suppose. Motegi. Motegi's not a track I've come across in many racing sims that haven't been a mod. There's a great mod for it in Assetto Corsa. If I remember, I'll put one of those stupid little cards in the video to link you to Motegi. But this I think would gel well with lots of other content in the game. So it's got a couple of different configurations. It still has top class level racing there. I know MotoGP go there. I don't think Formula 1 have ever been to Motegi, but in one of its configurations is an oval. An IndyCar went there, I think maybe in the 2000s, so a little bit after the content we've got, but it would at least get another oval in the game. In fact, I actually think Motegi, was that the race where I think Danica Patrick won her only race there? I'm sure Danica Patrick won a race at Motegi, But anyway, yeah, I think Motegi would think Motegi would work really, really well. And if trying to think of other tracks that have made it into other games, I think Project Cars 2 has either Okoyama or Sugo. They're both pretty cool tracks. And there's one in Gran Turismo, I think, or Topolis, which I've never seen in any other game besides modding. I know you can mod it into Assetto Corsa, but I don't want to play Assetto Corsa, I want to play Automobilista. So yeah, there's a bunch of tracks in Japan alone I think they could add. And if you wanted to expand it, I suppose, to maybe a more broadly Asian DLC, there's still lots of cool tracks in that part of the world that Automobilista hasn't really ventured into yet. If you think about Sepang, what else have we got? Shanghai, Buriram. There's probably a bunch I'm missing, or maybe even Buddha. Buddha would be really cool. I think that's a brilliant track. I think MotoGP are going there soon, you know, or was it World Superbikes? I don't know, but World Championship Racing is returning to India soon, and that's really cool, because it was a brilliant track. Right, so if I think I've covered tracks, please do leave any suggestions in the comments. You know, this is purely just wild speculation and a bit of self-indulgence. I mean, cars, you know what I'm going to say already, aren't you? And Automobilista does classic cars. I say classic, but I suppose they are now. We're talking like 20 years ago or so, maybe even more. I'd love a GT500 class. So the Honda NSX, the Toyota Supra, the R34 Skyline, and am I missing one? Was there a fourth, or was it just the three? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Toyota, Nissan, Honda. There was no more than that. Although I think in GT500 at the time there was also a couple of European cars that competed. There was some McLarens, and there was something else that competed as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, right, it's in some Assetto Corsa DLC. Right, I'm rambling away anyway, but yeah, I'd love to see a GT500 class added. But also you could definitely get some more Japanese cars into other areas of the game. So GT3, it'd be cool to have the NSX or the Acura NSX, whichever one you want. It's essentially the same thing. And what else? The Mazda 787B. We could add that to Group C. I think that would be a really awesome addition. It would be a popular addition. We could have the Toyota. It was just called the GT1, wasn't it? The GT1 added to the GT1 class. So I think there's definitely some scope to add some cool Japanese stuff to Automobilista, or at least some more Asian stuff, because I feel like it is definitely a part of the world the Automobilista 2 doesn't venture into for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's hard to scan the tracks or licensing issues. I don't know. I mean, we've got Toyotas in the game, so I know Toyota are sometimes a bit weird about licensing, aren't they? But either way, I think it would be an interesting place to visit for lots of really cool DLC, and that's basically my case. That's it. There's nothing more to it than that. So with that note, I suppose if you've got any suggestions, maybe not suggestions, but like I said, wild speculation, what would you like to see in the game? Is there a part of the world that you'd like the game to go to, where you'd like to see tracks from, that maybe gets underrepresented? Because it's one thing that Automobilista 2 does do extremely well. It's sometimes more underrepresented motorsports, especially with the Brazilian stuff. I know it's an easy pick because Razer are Brazilian, so of course they probably do know all about that, but yeah, it gets into those more niche categories, those cars that maybe, hey, I don't know anything about that, that's cool to check out. And I think GT500 or Japanese touring cars, JGTC, Super GT, whichever incarnation you want, is definitely underrepresented in racing. With the exception of Gran Turismo, the only other way you could play those cars is to download a mod for Assetto Corsa, as far as I know. They might be in some older games, whether they're in like GTR 2 or anything like that, I don't know. I tend not to venture that far back. But anyway, yeah, that's my case. And if you've got any speculation, any fantasies about the game, then, you know, leave a comment, because that's what we're here for, to engage, and I mean that in the least cynical way possible. Tell me your thoughts. It's fun.